Hello creators, it's Melissa from Melissa's Creations. Thanks for joining me on another video. Today we're making this nature-inspired card using two of my most favorite stamp sets. I can't wait to show you how I made this card, so let's get started. We're going to play with the Stamparatus today. So I have my Stamparatus with the two plates on it here, and I'm going to take the magnets off the back and get a piece of Whisper white cardstock so I can start stamping. I have a scrap piece of Whisper white here. This measures approximately 2 1/4 by 4 inches. It doesn't have to be that exact size. We're just going to stamp our sentiment and fussy cut it out. So the sentiment I'm using is "You Are Wonderful" from the Rooted in Nature stamp set. This stamp set is gorgeous and it has so many beautiful stamps in it. I just can't get enough. So we're going to position that where we want it to stamp on our cardstock. Bring the plate down to pick up the stamp. And I'm stamping that with Garden Green. This is the New Style Classic Stampin' Pad. So we're just going to ink that up. And the great thing about using the Stamparatus for your sentiments is if you stamp it down and it's not quite as dark as you'd like it, you can always go back over and stamp again, and it'll stamp in the exact same spot as long as you don't move your paper or your plate. Just like that. Now that we've stamped that, I will cut that out in a little bit, but while we still have our Stamparatus, we're going to stamp the main image on our card. So I'm going to line up my cardstock just with some of the grid lines here. Doesn't matter where. So I have another sheet of Whisper white cardstock here. This piece measures 2 1/4 by 4, and I'm going to put my plate at the top. I'm using these birch trees from the Winter Woods stamp set. Winter Woods and Rooted in Nature pair beautifully together, so I really like using them at the same time. So I have my birch trees here, and what I want to do is make sure that the thick part of the trees are at the bottom. So I'm going to place it so it's just halfway off the cardstock. So I know that my cardstock is lined up with this line here on my grid paper, so I'm just going to place my stamp so that it's kind of in the middle of that line. I'm going to pick it up, and we're going to be stamping this in crumb cake. So we'll stamp that down. And the great thing about the Stamparatus is we can pick up the plate and move it over one rung. I'm going to ink up my stamp again. And when I stamp it down, I have perfect placement from the first position to the next. So I'm going to do that all the way down until I stamp off the other side of the cardstock. There we have our beautiful birch tree background. So here I have a piece of crumb cake cardstock. This is a standard card base, 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. I did score it in the middle at 4 1/4, and then I embossed half of it using the Tin Tile Dynamic Textured Impressions Embossing Folder. And the way that I like to emboss this, I take the score line and I line it up right with the edge of that embossing folder. So I'm not lining it up with this edge, I'm lining it up with the inside edge. You can see that the design starts to stop right here about 1/8 of an inch from the actual edge. So that's the edge I'm lining up with my score line. So you just place it in there, line your score line up with that inside edge, and then run it through your Big Shot, just like this. The sandwich I use for the Dynamic Textured Impressions Embossing Folder is the regular Big Shot platform, and then this piece here, and then I put one cutting plate on top, and that gives me a lot of really great dimension and body to that. Next up, using a piece of garden green cardstock. This measures 2.5 by 4 1/4. I've taken the leaf sprig from the In the Woods framelits dies that coordinate with the Winter Woods stamp set, and I've cut it out. I've cut 2 of those sprigs out of the middle of this piece of cardstock. And the reason why I did it out of the middle is because I want to make sure I leave the edges clear so that I can layer my birch tree background on top, and I just have that nice border. And I'm not wasting any cardstock because I was able to use that to cut out my green leaves. I have some clear Wink of Stella, the glitter brush, and I'm just going to take that and lightly glitter a little bit of those leaves. And I want to be careful I don't get too much on there. Sometimes it has a tendency to come all out. And now with some snips, I'm going to trim out my sentiment from that white scrap. And then I'm going to fussy cut around the edges. And now we're ready to start assembling. So I'm going to first adhere my birch tree background to my garden green cardstock. I'm going to fold my card base in half. I'm going to use some Stampin' dimensionals on the back of this piece and raise it up. We'll put that right in the center. To attach the burlap ribbon, I'm going to use the glue dots. I'm just going to put a few right on the back of this. And put that right in the middle. Now on the back of my sentiment, I'm going to take some snail and just a little dab on each end. Now I can use those dabs to pick up my leaves. And I want to kind of angle one down and one up. Then on the back of that, I'm going to use some more dimensionals, and I'm putting the dimensionals on the stem of the leaf so that it really enforces that and makes sure it doesn't fall off. And then that goes right in the middle of the ribbon. And there we go, creators. There are my nature-inspired cards using the Winter Woods and Rooted in Nature stamp sets. I hope you enjoyed this video today. If you did, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to click that bell icon so you can be notified when I upload new videos. You can follow me online at melissascreations.com and on Facebook at facebook.com/MKre8tions. I'm also on social media. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest with the handle at MKre8tions. I designed this card as a make and take for an event that I'm demonstrating at on April 6th in Astoria, Oregon. It's called Let's Stamp Out Hunger, and it benefits the Clatsop Emergency Food Bank. If you're interested in more information or you'd like to make a donation, just visit letsstampouhunger.com and you can click on the PayPal link to donate. Anything that you're able to donate is really appreciated. There are a lot of hungry mouths in Clatsop County that would truly appreciate your donations. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again real soon. Bye!